boxing gloves, he will fight. No, I'm kidding. Okay.
Well, the question was how to, when you get to Congress as a freshman, how do you make sure that you're going to be heard? I think they're going to have a problem shutting me up. And, you know, John Boehner may find me a little hard to keep under control, I'm afraid. Because, you know, the Tea Party started about 2.5 years ago. I was advocating these principles 20 years ago on the radio. Limited government, lower taxes, getting rid of government bureaucracy, letting the free enterprise grow, balanced budgets. So I'm going to keep advocating for those principles. You know I look a lot younger, but I'm 64 years old, and I don't give a damn about building a career in Congress. I'm going there to fight for principles that I believe in.
Okay, now we go to this side of the room. David.
Thank you. David Robinson, foreign member. Just as preamble, Obama has not signed 2,000 executive orders. According to the National Archives, he signed 95, and they are the official repository of such. Question specifically is, of what cuts or specific structural changes would you do to Medicare, Medicaid, or defense spending, since those are the major parts of the budget, in order to bring balance to the budget? Because cutting Department of Energy and the EPA and Department of Transportation and Education is not going to balance the budget, as people say. So what specific cuts and structural changes would you propose?
Lisa? That comes real close to being a speech. So next time, questions only.
Okay, thank you very much for correcting me. I meant to say they were administrative rules. There were 2,000 administrative rules put through by the Obama administration in 2011 alone. So that's scary. And yeah, we need to get rid of all those agencies, any agencies. I mean, we educate our children here locally. Why do we have this big monster bureaucracy in Washington, D.C. that we pay all this money to? I mean, really, it's insanity. A lot of this stuff's insanity. We've got to make sure that we limit it. We've got to lower taxes drastically, make the Bush tax cuts permanent, and we've got to inspire businesses. And we've got to give them the confidence to know that they can create jobs, that they can meet their payroll, that they're not going to destroy, you're not going to destroy your business if you take a risk, because that's what running a business is, taking a risk. But the federal government, Reagan said that, it's not covered, yes, anyway, all right, thank you.
Healthcare and Social Security, big spending federal money. About healthcare, I'm 74. I have no medical problem because I take care of myself. I have no I don't spend money on doctors and medicine. I think about 20, 30 years ahead. About to spend so many people, businesses rob this country, rob Medicare. Scooter, for example, scooter costs $5,000. What is going on? Because corruption government. Again, all of this abuse children. You see, nation again started corruption in government. Pharmaceutical company, medical organization donate money. In nation does not concentrate. Okay, I will give jump rope to every child. Prevent diabetes.
The question was, what cuts would we support for Medicare, Medicaid, and defense? So first of all, let me say Medicare is a program that people pay into. You pay into you pay taxes for Medicare. So you're entitled to get your Medicare. So I'm not going to cut Medicare. Medicaid, on the other hand, is a welfare program. And I think it needs to be phased out. I think it doesn't work. We've got 55 million Americans are getting Medicaid. That's the program for medical payments for poor people. And what you're doing is you're subsidizing the lifestyles that create medical problems when you make the Medicare free. People need to be paying for their own medical care. Defense, I think we can cut hundreds of billions from defense, and that's by fighting the war against Islamic extremism intelligently. And we do it not by invading foreign countries with armies of 100,000 or 150,000 troops. We do it by infiltrating the terrorist organizations, using special operations, special forces to destroy them. Oh, and you can see my positions on all these issues on my website, jimgreenfieldforcongress.com.
Tort reform is an essential part of helping us with our healthcare system. There are excessive punitive damages that are awarded to people. In 1982, my brother died in a car accident. The road was supered the opposite way. It was a left-hand turn, the road was supered out, his vehicle flipped. We got calls from several attorneys asking us to sue the county because they had graded that road wrong. We wouldn't do it. It didn't bring my brother back. Had there have been a community fund that would have helped health care for the elderly and those that needed it for those punitive damages, we might have thought of donating that money to that system. Communities know what the people need, and they can identify fraud immediately. They know who lives in their community, and they know who needs the help. And I would like for, thank you.
There we go. I think we can all agree that there's tremendous waste and fraud in government today. There's about a $60 billion fraud number just in Medicaid alone every year. Recently, the Oregonian reported that $60 billion has been wasted in the 2 wars because of fraud and corruption. So we need to eliminate those who would allow this to continue. We need greater transparency and people who are not beholden to certain special interests or lobbying groups that allow this to occur. As it relates to health care, though, I must add, because that's part of Medicare and Medicaid, we have to reduce the cost of doing health care, providing health care in this country. A great example is what we have right here in Washington County. We have community health centers, and I happen to be on the board of one called Virginia Garcia. We have clinics in Hillsborough, Beaverton, et cetera, and a typical patient there costs about $765 a year to give them preventative care, whereas if they went to the emergency room, it would be $1,900 per visit. Governor Chris Christie has said community health centers are ideal for our economy, and Marco Rubio has said it's an absolute necessity in order to improve our healthcare system here in this country.
Lee Coleman, forum member. The Constitution's preamble says that the Constitution was established, among other things, to ensure domestic tranquility. I would like to hear each one of you discuss your understanding of the importance of domestic tranquility in the body politic.
Well, I always carry my Constitution with me just in case of emergencies. You know, I don't call myself a liberal or a conservative or a libertarian. I call myself a limited government constitutionalist because I feel that's what the Constitution is about. It's a plan that we, the people, created, that our founding fathers created, which established the terms under which we were willing to be governed. And the central purpose of the Constitution was to give the federal government certain powers, and that's all. It was supposed to be a government of limited powers. I don't know, domestic tranquility. We don't want to have civil wars going on. We don't want to have people rioting in the streets. If you have good government policies and the nation is prospering, people won't have any incentive to go out in the street and riot. I think that's what it means. Do you think it means something different? That's how I understand it.
I believe I have domestic tranquility. I have worked my whole life. I come home tired usually. Everything is calm. I've recycled for 19 years. I do not have trash pickup. I have worked 3 jobs at one time a majority of my life. I teach martial arts, and in that we teach children respect. They respect their elders. If you have a program in your schools that adds to the school day, like Earn and Learn, people can teach things that are outside the normal realm of reading, writing, and arithmetic. And it makes children happy, but it also makes children respect their elders of who's teaching them something, who's taking their time out for these programs. We need to start being creative about creating domestic tranquility throughout our communities, not just in our own homes, but sharing the wealth of domestic tranquility. Thank you.
Thank you. I think the founders were brilliant when they created a divided government. The divided government will not allow any one person to rule. At the same time, when we have a divided government, we have to make sure that at some point we come together. And I think we take a great example from what the Founding Fathers did. In those first constitutional conventions, they argued, they debated, but eventually they came together and they signed those documents one by one. And that's what we're not seeing in Congress today. We're not seeing enough collaboration. We're not seeing enough consensus building. I know how to do this. As recently as this year, I was assisting people in our community in creating a jobs creation bill, or not bill, but plan, and I took this plan to people all over the community, and it didn't matter to me what party affiliation they were. I took it to elected officials, and I said, this is good for Oregon. And the best way that we can create tranquility right now is to make sure that our economy is prosperous, that people have a job, that they have a future, that they have some hope. When they don't, it leads to not only domestic strife, but also strife at home and in the workplace. Number one thing we can do in Congress right now is provide an environment for job creation.
All right, yeah, domestic tranquility. I talk about domestic tranquility and have for the last, since 2005 on my television show. It began with What's Between Us. I took on the woman's perspective, what with me being a woman and all, I thought that was efficient. And then I had a different man come on the show and represent the man's perspective, and we took on relationships from a G-rated perspective. You're not allowed to say the 3-letter word with the X in it, and I'm not talking about tax. And it was a lot of fun. But what more importantly, I've been able to talk with my community about these issues, relationships, and about our government, because it's a live call-in interactive show. So I've heard your point of view on, or a lot of the community's point of view on the different issues, and so I hope I can bring that to Washington, D.C. and provide a lot more tranquility in Congress. Thank you.
Let's thank everybody.